Okay, welcome to project number 13. Oh, lucky 13, aren't you lucky? We're going to go back and take a look at our Diamond Eternity French cut ring, which I have out on the screen. So if you did save that and you did do that project, you can bring it out and take a peek. What I want to do is take and make some connected butterfly prongs, what I call butterfly prongs for this, so it look kind of cool. Now you actually can do this with a sub D shank too, so you can blend everything together, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You could do a bridge with that. Take a little while to do it, but at any rate, let's. I'm going to get to something we can see pretty easily here. We'll go down into purple with that layer. If you don't have that layer, you can add it. It's whatever you want to do. So the object here is to take and make a set of prongs that are Y-shaped. Now you remember how we did this before. Well, I went ahead and just kind of cut that out of there, and that was built into the ring. And a lot of times people don't like that, because especially setters, because there's not a lot of metal on the subject to make it look that good, or they end up making them blades instead of prongs going across the stones. So the object here is to use a sub D surface to play around with and make your prong. And I'm going to get into the sub D tools here. And what I'm going to choose to use is just a sphere. And it's going to ask me what kind do you want. And I'm going to choose the style is going to be UV, vertical faces equals 10, around faces equals 10. Now, you can change any of this that you want to make your bridge between the two more unique, or however you want. All right, so I'm just going to go right here because I want to kind of give it an idea. And remember something about sub D. This is all in your own mind's eye. It's how you want it to look. And so we're going to be adjusting some faces and so forth on the sphere to make it into like a prong. Okay, so I want to kind of get an idea. So I'm going to just left click here. I'm going to bring my prong so that I'm straight up and down here with the shift ortho on. Now we can change the size of this later, okay, but I'm going to just pull it out about like so, about a millimeter or so. Okay, now you'll see the orientation here is in the wrong direction, and that's because we made it in the front viewport, but that's because I wanted to get kind of where I was going to put this thing, and we can adjust the size like I said before. All right, so I'm going to left click on that, and I want that to be standing up and down this way. So what we'll do is click here, and I'm going to type in 90 and hit enter, and you're just going to see us turn our sphere in this direction. Now, because I'm not straight up and down here, I'm not putting my prongs here. Now, we could do that here too. That just depends on the nature of the beast that you're making. Remember, we made this a French cut thing. So maybe we want to just slightly rotate that so we're kind of like perpendicular to the ring. Something like that. Okay? Now, we have to adjust these faces so that we get a prong. Okay, I did not use a pipe here for making this because I want this to be a sub D surface here. All right, so let's start playing around with some of this stuff to see if we can't get it to where we want it as far as a prong goes. So I'm going to shift control, and I'm going to window those objects. Well, let's do this. Shift control, and I want to do picking all those all the way around. You're going to make sure you get them all. Okay, and I'll shift control and pick that one because I missed it, but we got them all. Okay, So we can just start stretching this guy. Okay, and we can pull him this way a little bit. And we'll just keep pulling him down a little bit like so. Kind of cool. And if you want to make it a little narrower down here, you can. But let's see what happens with that. It's not too bad. So I'm holding the shift key and dragging that little red box. Okay, I'm pulling it in like so. Okay, now we also want to bend this. So to do that, we can just go ahead and hold shift control, and I'm going to pull these top ones over a little bit like so. And then we can start to visualize how this is going to look for us. Now this is a little bit of a V shape, so if you wanted it to come back the other way in the middle, we just take and cross that over a little bit and move that over just like so. Okay, it's whatever you want to do here. Now I can take and shift control and pick a couple of these guys, but I think I'm just going to let that go like it is, so you're kind of getting an idea where we are with this. All right, so if I bring it down and put it in here like so, now we know we're in the middle of the ring here. Okay, so we know that we have to have it a little bit over this way further, and I'll use gumball and we'll pull it over here like so. Okay, now we're kind of large, but that's all right. I'm not going to worry about that. I wanted to get this first one in position here. All right, so our next objectivity here is to put another prong over here so it looks kind of like a little butterfly. So if I rotate that in like that, we'll get a little bit more of what you see here. Okay, and again, we're adjusting these things is not difficult to do. It's just wherever you want to place the prong. Don't worry about this coming out of here, because we're not going to have to deal with that. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shut off the green layer, because all I want to see is this prong, and I don't really want to see that either. They're stones, so I'm just going to shut those off. Now, what I want to do with this prong is I want to take some faces off of it. Okay, so because we want to make a bridge. Now I don't want the bridge to be up in here. I want the bridge to be down in here so we can bridge the two together. Okay, if you decide that you want to just click on this, that edge, and double click it, and you want to raise that up a little bit, you can do it with gumball. Okay, so what I'm doing here is creating a little larger face in this area so that when I bridge this together, it'll give me a little different effect. If we want to make it a little bit different than that, maybe not quite so much bend, we can move it over like so. Now remember what I say about sub D is this is not necessarily something you have to do, want to do, but it may be the look that you want. All right, so let's go and hold the shift and the control key down. I'm going to pick this face, this face, this face, this one, this one, this one, and keep going down until you get to these faces. Okay, now I'm going to delete those, and you're going to have this little open spot here. Okay, everybody can see that, I hope. All right, so what we want to do here, and you might even want to take those two out. I guess you could do that. It depends on the look you want. So from here, I want to just transform and mirror, and I'm going to mirror it over this little mid spot here. And I'm going to bring it down to where I get that nice look. And what I'm looking at is visualization of where our lines run about through this particular arc here. Okay, now if you want that a little further apart, you can separate those a little bit further apart. Remember, we still have our record history on. I'll put a little closer than that. All right, so now what we want to do is go up and we're going to choose bridge. Now bridge is right here in sub D, and the first thing that's going to ask you is select the first set of edges or faces to bridge. All right, so what we're going to do is zoom in here on this one. I'm going to hold the shift control down and I'm going to double click this edge. Now you got to get close to it so you can pick it. Okay, you double click it, it'll choose that whole loop. Okay, and then we want to go over after we hit enter. Now we're done picking the first one. Hit enter, and then I'm going to double click, hold the shift control down and double click that one. Okay, so once you're done with that, you can go ahead and hit enter. And it's going to create this type of junction between the two. Now it says segments equal to, if we go down, it'll make 1. Or let's see if it'll make 0. I don't believe it will. No. You got to have something in there. Okay. Now, you can change these arrows to bring them up. Or we just change the actual arrow itself. I don't want to keep changing that point, but you can click on these and move them to give you more subtle angles here. If you don't like any of that, just hit cancel. Okay, let's go back and do this over again. It's good practice anyway. So we'll go to bridge, shift control, double click the edge, enter, shift control, enter. All right. Now we got one segment, two segment. Well, what this does, if straightness, if you want more straightness, you can pull that up and it'll straighten it out a little bit more for you in here. If you want less, it just makes it a little less, but we're only going one segment. So if we go 2, 3, 4, 5, you can get more segments in here. Now, in this case, I would say less is better. So I'm just going to go down to 1. And I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Now we got this little kink in here. And so we need to pull that up. Well, to do that, we can control shift, can pick on that edge and make that a little bit more subtle. Okay, and we can come in and pick in these guys here, control shift this, get these faces. Not going to let me pick it. And you can see the ones I'm after here. These guys. And let's see what happens when you pull on that. Now it's all just in what you want for an effect. Okay, it doesn't have to, you don't even have to do that. You can pull it out the other way. Okay, so it's up to you whatever you want to do in here. All right, so now that I've got that going here, I'm just going to leave it like it is. And I want to turn back on my stones, and then I want to put it back on my shank, and you'll see where we are here. So this kind of gives you that blending, if you will. Now, if you want to with this, this is now a sub D surface, but you can use Cage Edit on this. Okay, so if we're trying to make this a little bit more realistic, like the stones are set, you might want that option. So we'll go to transform, cage editing, cage edit, and we'll choose the bounding box. Enter, 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 enter. Okay, now I can choose these on the bottom, all of them. I can pull it up like so. Try to get them out of the way a little bit, and you can pull them in. Just an easy way to try to get that to work for you. And then if you want to take and adjust these, you can do that as well. Pull it down maybe, pull it over a little bit here. Okay, and the same thing here. Pull it down a little bit, pull it in. So we get them nice and even there like so. All right, so that's how we can do that. And then all you've got to do is get it into position where you want it. Whoops, I don't want that. I want the prongs. Now pull it over. And again, if you wanted to make this ring out of a sub D surface, you could do that. And I'm just going to rotate this out like so. Get that out of the way so we don't have it in our visual. All right, it's out of the way now. I'm not going to worry about jockeying in there, but this is how you can do your butterflies. And then what you do, of course, is we run this around and do it how many times? So that's transform, array, polar, and we had 24. So the center's F4, or 22, I'm sorry. So I'm going to hit enter, enter, enter. And that's going to give you this type of look. Okay, so we still have the French cuts, so forth and so on, and then we have our butterfly prongs, and of course you can just take those and mirror those over the other side. Okay, so practice. Most of it's just practicing just doing that butterfly prong setup with sub D and the bridge command. And you can get this to look many different ways depending on how many faces you adjust, how many edges you adjust, or how many vertices you adjust. Okay, so let's give it a shot. Practice that a little bit. Make yourself a fresh band, whatever you want to do, and then work with it. Work with that sub D bridge. That's one of my favorite commands in sub D for working with something like this. Okay, we'll see you at project number 14.